Okay, I just wanted to update what I see going on the timeline. Alright, so in the last video, we were here. We were doing hull testing and whatnot. One of the things I did discover was somewhere here, before these guys went into the woods saying we're not going to follow your laws, and then they did the other directed energy that zapped us, somewhere in here that GESARA law was signed. So I'm pretty sure that was the law that they were rebelling against. And if you've ever looked over that law, it's got some really cool things in there, but there again you're getting into, for me, what would be questionable grounds as far as, they want to do universal base pay, which is, that's universal socialism. Okay, because there again, it is what it is. So we'll draw a new time. This is what I see happening since then. All right, so right here, we're going to put right here, this is what's going on in Afghanistan. That's a current event right here, okay? So we're going to stop right there. And I still don't know. That is significant. That is a significant event. There's reasons that we've been there. Probably not what they tell you. Everybody thinks it's poppy fields, blah, 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 okay? I still don't have a good line on that. But one of the things that everybody's well aware of, and they're not even talking about today, and I'm surprised because the day after it didn't happen, it was all over the internet, but that FEMA alert, right, that never came. Okay, that's a timestamp, and it probably went down that way. It was probably an alert that never came that we should have got, because based on some of the channels that I watch, and I don't know what channels you guys watch, but the 2 days prior to that alert supposed to be going off, one of the channels I watched showed both days us receiving what added up to hundreds of incoming meteors. Okay, now I've talked about Mother Earth taking a shot down there in the Gulf of Mexico. There's probably more than one rock that hit us. When people talk about Nibiru and the trail it leaves, when we got disconnected from our sun, that's going to change everything. Orbits, right? If you're not connected, whether you believe in gravity or the electric universe, either way, if you disconnect that source, Mother Earth is free to roam and get hooked up to a different sun that can track her around and probably drag her through a debris field. I'm not saying that happened. It couldn't have happened. It's not going to happen this time. All those people expecting, Nibiru, Planet X, whatever, to decimate us, that's already happened. Okay, so anyway, so you had the FEMA alert that never went off, and then we got inundated with meteors here. And I'm also looking up there around Alaska, the little hook shoe there, because there's been significant earthquakes up there, correct? And those could just be timestamps for major meteor strikes in those locations. I don't know. But there was another thing that came down the pike on the internet, where, what was it, 6 or 7 ships, right? Kind of lost their way over there in the Mediterranean Ocean. That happened before these meteors came in. Okay, so like I said, the first Passover event, okay, which involved the crossing of the Red Sea, you had that cargo ship bound up in there touching both sides. So that was, like I said, it's all symbolism. Moses didn't come running across the Red Sea again. None of this is ever going to happen again. They're just timestamps. Okay, so if Moses going across the Red Sea was symbolic with a tanker getting stuck on both sides of the Suez Canal, okay, these 6 or 7 tankers, whatever it was, wandering aimlessly out here probably represent people as well, potentially world leaders at the time. That once the meteors came in, knocked out Mother Earth, and we lost that connection, they got lost. And then that picks up over here where we were on the other timeline about papers being signed, you know, directed energy weapons being used against us, the attack, so on and so forth. Like I said, I only knew of this part of the story right here, that we were attacked. And quite honestly, I've known about that part of the story ever since I was young. But the thing is, you know, that's a pretty sensational story, and where do you get info on that? So, you know, you spend a lot of time searching, and really not, because you got to work for a living, right? What kind of phrase? Think about that saying right there. Work for a living. No, down here, we work for a living. Up there, we live just to, and we'll call it create, not work. Okay, you have to create a whole life for yourself down here daily. Every single day you get out of bed, the plate's different, right? It is what it is. So that's where I think we're at now. As far as the Afghanistan thing, not real sure there. You know, if you do watch the Men in Black, I keep telling you I reference movies because they put stuff out there. In Men in Black 3, Jay's trying to rescue Kay, right? And he's talking to Griff, the fifth dimensional being there. They have a fifth dimensional being in there, or their representation of. And he asked him, do you see a time where, you know, I saved Kay, a timeline? And he said, yes, but where there is death, there will always be death. How much death do you think in real time went on right here? So, of course, people died when we went back this way, revisiting that. You know, in Afghanistan, that's a real life, that was a major event. It's been on TV, but, you know, at the same time, let me simplify this. The average person gets up, they go do their JOB, right? You do a mini timeline in your day every day. Okay, you get up, right? There's the start of your day, the end of your day, and you pack all this stuff in here, whatever you go through, right? And then you get up and you do it all over again. It's like Groundhog Day for everybody, over and over and over. You kind of do the same things, okay? And one of those things is everybody sits down, they watch TV, and they get their news. Now, probably the people watching this probably don't watch TV anymore. I gave up watching TV almost like 10 years ago, okay? So, but at the same time, you got to get your news, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So you're kind of stuck in that catch-22, right? It's got to come from somewhere. Well, there again, you got to go within. So it took a long time to confirm the story. In fact, the story didn't get outright confirmed for me until, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. I think it was last year. I had two of my granddaughters with us at the lake when we went out and walked the dogs, and the oldest one, who was 9 at the time, said, we're going to put on a play. So we said, okay, and she said, you two, Grandma and Grandpa, are the kings and queens, and these dogs, because we own Great Danes, these two Great Danes are royal dogs, and we are princesses. And our kingdom came under attack, and monsters put their monster DNA into ours and turned us into monsters. So now I have to put my cousin to sleep and wave this daisy dust over her and wake her up. That was the story she told me. Now, where does a 9-year-old get that story? But it also matched one, and I've never talked to her about this. You know, the first I've talked to anybody about this is within the last year when I started doing videos. And quite honestly, that's enough to get you in trouble too, because, you know, you start losing friends immediately when you do stuff like that. But my point is, you know, if you keep going and doing the same things over and over again, you get the same results, right? That's, you know, how they define insanity. So, hold on 1 second. So, you know, if you've given up on CNN and all this other stuff because they're not exactly truthful, the bigger question is, why does everybody continue to run to this? To find God? It's just a thought. Call me crazy. I look at it as reference material. just like everything. You know, I have people ask me all the time about, how do you come up with this crazy stuff? And it is what it is, but, you know, for those same, you know, I've been studying hard, and I mean hard, for like the last 8 years, softly for 10 years, and very softly all my life. Some of the stuff, like I said, I've known since I was a kid, but it just stays with you. You get programmed, you jump into life, you have kids of your own, next thing you know, you're working, and you just do what you do, right? So, but I've made it a point, a hard point, a firm point. I've changed everything about myself in the last 8 years that I've been doing this. I've changed my diet completely. I've changed where I live, how I live. And I basically spend a lot of time by myself, quite honestly. I have plenty of time to go in, plenty of time to connect to Mother Earth, plenty of time to sun gaze. You know, if you ask yourself honestly, people talk about it, you know, you got to go in nature. You got ask yourself honestly, how many minutes, hours, whatever a day are you actually out in nature? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15? Is it a full hour? Are you spending 4 hours at a time? Most people don't get that. I get that. I'm rather fortunate to be in the position that I'm at. That's why I do the videos. But I spend an inordinate amount of time alone. So, you know, if that original man could just sit here by himself and go within and get all the answers, he didn't rely on a book. No books, right? So why do we? I'm just saying. Because there again, look at the stuff they have you fighting over, quite honestly. Okay, if you're born, if you're birthed of the earth, you should have free roam to her. There are no countries, there are no borders, but they have us fighting over exactly that. Country, identity, patriotism, the American flag. No, we are all one. Okay, period. I don't need a wall between me and my neighbor. There's enough of those with labeling and everything else in the world that are there by design. Okay, in the previous video I said, look, they're doing their job. Now, some of them would rather die, I think, than see us succeed at this mission. And so they're going to keep pushing. You know, they're still pushing. Everybody still thinks time's moving forward and we're going to get to 2030 and 2050 and all these things are going to... And here it says, everything shall pass. Okay, there's a reason that in here it says you will throw your gold and silver into the street. That's because original man, not only could he hold fire in his hand and all this other stuff. Have you ever heard of a guy called Hermes? If you haven't, look him up. You can still go to the hospital today and get stuff that's hermetically sealed. He was a real man. He could take lead and turn it into gold in the palm of his hand. They labeled him an alchemist. Okay, so if you as a being can pick up some lead and turn it into gold, what value is the dollar, even if it's based on the gold system? Money means nothing to the beings that we are, really, inside. Not what you see every day in the mirror. Remember, that's the casing, right? The software is what runs it. Okay? Because even that, we talked about number 45, right? And even he sat right up there and held this and said, man, everybody should be free to worship whatever God they choose, right? That also includes them. And do any of these books provide any kind of freedom? No, they're the boxes that they provided. So when they take away the boxes that they provided that you thought was freedom, and then they give it back, oh, he's a great guy. like I said, I got nothing against 45. I got nothing against that crime. I got nothing against nobody. I just see it for what it is. You know, they play good cop, bad cop. You were just a well-adjusted slave under Trump. You were happier. That's all it was. Just a different form of slavery. And how many of you crawling to have that form of slavery back? You know, people are griping, oh, the schools. If you haven't learned what the schools are about and you're still trying to send your kids to school, and I understand there's jobs, there's daycare, I get it. But, you know, it's all about choices. I made the choices a long time ago to quit this madness. In fact, I'll be perfectly honest with you. You know, I've had these same conversations with my loan officer at the bank for the last year and a half now. So when I walked in there a while back and told him, don't expect me to come in here anymore and be giving you any more money, he knew. In fact, the bank manager wanted to talk to me because they found out that I haven't been paying my taxes. And the loan officer looked at the bank manager and said, just have a seat, we've got this. And he wanted me to talk to her about the stuff that I'd been talking to him about. And I told him there's going to come a day when all this is going to go away and I'm not going to work till the end. Because I'm already, you know, your belief is what it is. When Dorothy went home, right, clicked her heels 3 times, you know, the good witch told her, you have to believe. You know, having knowledge of something and letting it go in one ear and out the other, you know, here's the thing, if something resonates with you, then you need to wholeheartedly jump on and do it. Okay, now there's lots of people that do this, and I'm not saying that there aren't. I'm nothing special. My uncle asks me all the time, you know, what makes you so special? I'm not. I'm just as damaged as any other person on this planet. But I've taken the time and I've dedicated these last few years of my life to putting what I've learned into my life. Yeah, I can't do it all because of the systems we wake up to every day. I get that. You got to play within the game. But, you know, if it all is a play and you're just watching it go by, like I said, how many people are ready to go vote for somebody still with all that they know? You're just perpetuating the game. You're allowed to play in the play if you want. Everybody plays a part, right? We all hear that. You know, what part of the play do you want to play? And I've even involved myself in the play. You know, before all the mandates came down to our neighborhood, you know, I was on the phone for 3 straight days talking with state reps, federal reps, U.S. Marshals, the city cops, the county cops. I even had the FBI on the phone. And let me tell you, when that conversation ended, my girlfriend was watching the sky for the next 3 days looking for black helicopters because I wasn't very polite with them when I got off the phone. But I stated my state, and that's how you do it. You know, years ago on the internet, you had all these people, you know, Laura Eisenhower putting out all these verbal, you know, I'm not taking it, and that's what you have to do. You have to go out into the world every day. And, you know, on my property, what I do is I fix boats for a living, and sometimes you get, you know, you deal with the public, and you get cranky customers, good customers. I've even dealt with our county coroner, and I've even approached him and talked to him, and he verified a lot of the stuff about this virus that I knew. Okay, so, you know, human contact is still very important. That's why they want us apart and separated. We're already separated. They just want it even more so. That's traffic. Where was I? Being separated. So there again, you know, only put into the game what you have to survive. The rest of it is for you. Even this thing right here, okay, talks about the return of the Son of Man, and again, everybody thinks it's that Jesus character. No, Son of man. Remember I said the sun that we look at in the sky isn't our actual sun. That's like a relay. Okay, we're going back to where we're all going to get hooked up to that original sun. And hopefully we'll all be reconnected then. But getting back to Afghanistan, you know, if you're just watching the news, are you even seeing what's really going on over there? Or are you just hearing reports from the same unreliable sources? You know, I'm not saying it is or isn't going on over there. Okay, I'm not physically there to see it with my own eyes, so I can't speak for it. But see, at the same time, I don't concern myself with it either, quite honestly, because, you know, I'm putting my energy into, okay, getting back through where Dorothy and clicking her heels. And the good witch, I think her name was Belinda or something, said you have to believe, right? If you don't believe down in your soul that this is who you are, and it doesn't matter. But that's why I've been doing the things that I do every single day. I spend as much time as I can in nature, barefooted, because that's who I believe we were. And I keep instilling that belief in me as much as I can every day. I still, to this day, sit here and focus on, you know, pens and trying to move them across the table. As a kid, I cannot tell you how many hours I stared at things and tried to move them because I knew I could. Now that we're in this time, I'm really hoping to activate those dormant DNA cycles in me that I can at least do that. I don't know, okay? But that's how I spend my time now. Working on just me, being the best person I can, and working on all these things like turning lead into gold in my hand. Because if you don't believe that's who you are, I don't know. You know, on the other side of this, we're all going to be set straight. I think it's just a matter of, you know, when this guy was building dimensions and timelines, and here's another good proof for you. You know, back in '69, when they put man on the moon, and Armstrong, he had that speech, right? This is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. How come they didn't say the human race? Or human beings? No. Because they had to hold that timeline. And how many conspiracy theories are there about did we even go to the moon? It doesn't matter. It's in the human conscious. When you draw your circles, right, we left this planet. We have men in space. That's the timeline they had to hold. Because I'm pretty sure, you know, like I said in other videos, you know, timeline, you know, there's timeline here is all his time probably on Earth. Okay? Searching, gathering, whatever he was doing. He was just being free, right? And then he decided to leave Earth, so that probably created another timeline and another dimension, and it was probably just the inner planets around that grand sun. And then there's probably another timeline where he left, you know, the immediate neighborhood and went to the next star system. Okay, and how do you create? Through thought, right? So if this guy thought that there were people out there, he probably created those people out there that he went to meet. And that's why all this is being undone, because whenever those people out there came back here and hijacked him and killed him, basically, they ended up killing themselves. If you kill your creator, you die too, right? So, and we created them by thought, and probably what happened there is just our thought was our central sun, you know, dad sent out whatever to, and these suns out here spit into their planets and created their people. I don't know how it all went down. Like I said, I don't know all this. These are just things that come to me. Okay, so when we flip up here, it's not about you're going to heaven or hell. It's about just which timeline you're going to fill into here. We're all coming up here. Okay? It's just which timeline you're going to come into. So that's about all the thoughts I have for today on that matter. If anybody knows any of the story about what went down in Afghanistan a long time ago, I know, you know, for years there have been military reports of giants being in Afghanistan. I don't know. You know, I also think that, you know, when you're dealing with a narcissist like these people are, you know, they talk about the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. And I'm not so sure they didn't kill themselves. They wanted us so badly that they did what they did with their own people here. And if you've seen the skeletons of dinosaurs and you've heard of giants, the giants potentially could have been us. Which kind of puts a whole new twist on people like David and Goliath in this book. I'm just saying, I don't say anything is any particular way. I've got my beliefs and I stick with them. I'm not telling anybody how to believe. But what you should know is who you are. And that's and there again, I think that's why it's important. Everybody tells you it's important to know who you are, because you create that next avatar. So now I'm not going to sit here and have somebody shoot bullets at me and prove that they don't bounce off of me yet. I ain't being that dumb about it, but you know, these are some of the things that I cycle through my meditation cycles as to who I am. You know, the whole breathe in and visualization's big. You know, visualize the light going through your entire body, working on wounds, whatever. Well, you can also visualize it working on dormant DNA strands. I use, but see there again, in the other video I talked about how we have two brains, one in our heart, and when I say brains, I'm talking about neurons, okay? You have more neurons around your heart than you do in your head. They tell you only use 10% of your brain. No, you use the whole thing. Just only 10% of it has these neurons. Everything else is a pathway that these neurons communicate. And just like outside is inside, right? The world, everything's the same. Just like they hijacked us from inside like a computer, right? So with the two brains, when you look at the world outside right now and the flow of communication, right? It's not there really. Well, there you go again. Within your body, the flow of communication has been broken between those two brains. Instead of them functioning together seamlessly, okay, you really have to take the time and meditate to access that other brain that's in your chest, and that's the one you have to use. That's the one that opens up all these different dimensions. You can get right here on YouTube and just do a simple search of "your brain is the universe," and they will show you star fields and a brain synapses, and they're identical. Okay? We are the living, breathing, physical creators from divinity. We've just been altered. In fact, right now you are actually part man or woman, original, part fish, and part reptile. And it's the reptile bone in your base of your skull that prevents your heart brain from talking to your skull brain. Now, I don't know exactly how the bones all break down. I know we have them, and they will tell you you have fish bones and, you know, these lizard bones in you because you evolved, you started in the ocean and made your way onto land. No, 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 no. You were birthed of the earth. This other stuff was given to you to take away your divinity. So, hope you have a great day. And like I said, just be positive, come from the heart on everything, and let's all work on our next avatar and building a better place. I love you all. Bye-bye.